Melissa Jefferson-Wooden and Sha'Carri Richardson trained together. Same sessions, same track, same coaches watching their splits every single week. Then the gun went off at Hayward Field, and for 10 seconds, none of that mattered. This was the women's 100-meter final at the 2026 Prefontaine Classic, and it came down to 1/100th of a second between two of the fastest women on Earth. Eugene, Oregon, July 4th, 2026. The Prefontaine Classic is the only United States stop on the Wanda Diamond League circuit, held every summer at the University of Oregon's Hayward Field, a stadium named after Steve Prefontaine, the American distance runner who died in 1975. For sprinters chasing global recognition, racing at Hayward Field on the 4th of July weekend is about as big a stage as track and field gets. Jefferson-Wooden came into the meet as the reigning world champion in the 100 meters, a title she earned in Tokyo at the 2025 World Athletics Championships, where she pulled off a sprint treble, winning gold in the 100, the 200, and the 4x100 relay. She's the first American to do that, and only the second woman ever after Jamaica's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce back in 2013. Richardson barely needs an introduction. The 2023 world champion and a Paris 2024 Olympic medalist, she's known for a closing kick that has buried opponents in the final 20 meters of races they thought they already had. I mean, think about training with someone at that level, then having to line up against her with a world title on the line. Nobody was talking much about the rest of the field going in, even though it was loaded. Adeja Hodge of the British Virgin Islands had already run a personal best of 10:63 earlier in the season, making her the world leader coming into Eugene. Jamaica's Shericka Jackson was also entered, along with Tina Clayton, Johnyelle Smith, and Britain's Dina Asher-Smith. But from the moment the entry list went up, this race had one storyline, and everyone in that stadium knew it. For a while, the pre-race build-up felt almost routine. Warm-ups, blocks getting adjusted, the usual stretching and pacing along the back straight. That calm didn't last long once the announcer read off the lineup, and the Hayward Field crowd started roaring before the athletes had even settled into their blocks. Then the gun cracked. Jefferson-Wooden got the better start, the kind of explosive first few strides she's built her entire career on. Richardson wasn't far behind, staying within striking distance through the opening 30 meters, refusing to let the reigning world champion get away clean. Up to that point, Jefferson-Wooden had been in control. That was about to get a lot closer. By the halfway mark, Richardson had evened things up, matching her training partner stride for stride. Hodge was still in the mix too, chasing a podium spot, but by the final 30 meters this had turned into a two-woman race with everybody else fighting for what was left. In the final 20 meters, Richardson made her move. She started closing, and the crowd noise climbed with every stride. This is exactly the moment Richardson has owned before, the trademark kick that's carried her past runners who thought the race was already decided. But the version most people remember from her past races didn't play out the same way this time. Richardson couldn't quite find that same closing gear at the tape, and Jefferson-Wooden held her form just enough to lean across the line first. 10:78 for Jefferson-Wooden. Richardson crossed in 10:79. That's not a typo, by the way. 1/100th of a second decided the entire race. Adeja Hodge rounded out the podium in 10:80, which means the top three sprinters in Eugene were separated by a combined 2/100ths of a second. Races that tight need the photo finish camera to sort them out, and officials at Hayward Field spent a few tense seconds reviewing the image before confirming the result. Once it was official, Jefferson-Wooden threw her arms up, and Richardson bent forward, hands on her knees, fully aware of exactly how close she'd come to flipping the outcome. If you're new here, this channel breaks down moments like this from every major track meet, so stick around, because this rivalry is nowhere near finished. Alright, so here's where the story actually gets interesting, because of what Jefferson-Wooden said right after crossing the line. It was a fight, literally to the finish, but she wanted it more, so she got it. Simple as that. No trash talk, no shade at her training partner, just a straightforward account of a race that came down to nothing more than desire in the final 10 meters. Richardson, for her part, acknowledged the crowd with a wave rather than a scowl. This wasn't a bitter rivalry playing out in public. It was two elite athletes who trained side by side every week, pushing each other into one of the closest races of the entire Diamond League season. And that closeness says something about where both of them are right now. Richardson's 10:79 wasn't a step backward. Just last month, she ran 10:77, the fastest time by an American this year before Eugene. She's rounding into the kind of form that makes her dangerous heading into the back half of the season. Jefferson-Wooden, meanwhile, keeps proving that the world title she picked up in Tokyo wasn't a fluke. She's still the woman to beat, even against a training partner who pushes her every single day in practice. This same Hayward Field afternoon delivered plenty of other storylines. Teenager Tate Taylor stunned a field that included Olympic champion Letsile Tebogo in the 200 meters, running a U.S. high school record of 1975. Nikki Hiltz pulled off a similar upset over Kenya's Faith Kipyegon in the mile, the first American to beat her over that distance in a decade. But for pure head-to-head drama between two athletes who know each other's training logs better than almost anyone, nothing on the card matched Jefferson-Wooden and Richardson trading blows over 100 meters of rubberized track. As of right now, this rivalry is still very much alive. Both sprinters are expected to line up again at the USATF Outdoor Championships in New York City, running from July 23rd through the 26th. If Saturday's race in Eugene was any indication, that rematch is going to be appointment viewing for anyone who follows this sport. A gap of 1/100th of a second doesn't settle a rivalry. It just raises the stakes for whoever gets the next start. So when these two step into the blocks again in New York, who do you think closes the gap? Drop your prediction below, and if you want to see how Tate Taylor pulled off his own shocking upset at the same meet, that breakdown is waiting for you right now.